plant-based meat is is on the struggle bus.
Yeah, listen, I think that the sector's challenged, but I think it's not representative and a bit lazy just to paint a general picture, right? There are green shoots in their brands that are doing well. We're doing well. We're growing double digits. But we don't like the sector and the category being where it is. And there's a lot of reasons why. There are a lot of companies that are making food that's not great food. There's 200 plant-based companies in America. Probably only need 3 or 2. So there's a lot of small companies making not so great food, and people are having bad first impressions. And then I think it was launched incorrectly from the beginning. It was very climate, it was very zealot, there was a lot of rhetoric, it was anti-cattle industry, so it got political, it got woke, it got bi-coastal, academic, elitist. So that all has to stop, right? And we want to encourage meat eaters to try our food.
But if you don't go that route, sorry, on the sort of the kind of the woke idea, I mean, it seemed like that was the core audience, or at least that was the perception, was that was the core audience. If you're not selling it from that perspective and that ethos, then how do you sell it? What is the argument for you?
You encourage me. So in the end, if you look at plant-based, it's about $7.5 billion globally, $2.5 billion in the US. Pretty small, right? Chicken, beef, pork, breakfast, lunch, dinner, animal meat is 1.4 trillion. So the value proposition, this only works as if you encourage meat eaters. By the way, a 5% share of 1.4 trillion is pretty good. And so, no, I'm not interested in stealing share from other plant-based companies. That's not going to move the needle from a value perspective, from a revenue perspective, but it's also not from a mission perspective. Because if you're trying to have less water, less trees, less GHG, it only works if you're displacing animal. So I think that got all muddled as well. So we just need to clear this up and understand who the target audience is and speak to them in a respectful, inviting way, not an insulting way, which is what I think was done in the past.
If you want to take, okay, so say you were able to draw some meat eaters into plantless burgers like you're talking about. Do you have to compete on price? Like, is that where the value really
is going to
lie?
So I think you have to compete on 2 things. First, it's got to be delicious. Because if it's not delicious, you're asking people to compromise food, and food you eat because you like the taste of it. Secondly, it's got to be 3 things. Secondly, it's got to be nutritious. This is 0 cholesterol meat. This is 50 to 75% less saturated fat, more fiber, more protein. So there's a nutrition part of it that's not been articulated well. And then you got to be price competitive. So we're on average about $1 to $1.50 less than grass-fed organic, but we are premium to what I would call the well, you know, in the saran wrap, cellophane stuff. So we have more work to do, but we brought our prices down 20% in the last year and a half. And the animal meat, on average, if you look at the data, they're up anywhere between 18 and 22% because input costs are up and labor costs are up, and you know, they've culled their herds because of drought and famine and stuff like that.
What about your costs?
We've gone down 20.
We've gone down
20.
Yeah.
In a year and a half.
Meaning the cost to produce?
Yes.
Yes,
okay.
Yeah.
And a lot of that's got to do with scale and sourcing better and things like that. But there's still work to be done. We are premium to the base animal meat, but we are now less than grass-fed organic, which is huge. So it's moving in the right direction, more work to do, for sure.
When you look at the fast food areas, right, I feel like a lot of hype was made about, ooh, you can get Impossible Burgers or Beyond Meat at different fast food places. And now I don't see that as much anymore. What do you do about that? Yeah,
I mean, yes and no. We're at every Burger King. You mentioned Burger King, so we're at like 5,500 Burger Kings with the Whopper.
Prominent, I feel, as like.
Yeah, I mean, I just had one at the airport the other day, and it was pretty prominent on the menu board. And that's a really good. The Whopper, you know, it's not a vegan burger. It's got cheese and special sauce on it.
Yeah.
We are at Starbucks, 15,000 Starbucks with the Impossible Sausage Sandwich, which is one of their best-selling items. It's a great sandwich. Not a vegan. It's got egg and cheese on it. We're at Applebee's, IHOP, you know, so we're chipping away, and we're in a lot of independents, Bear Burger, and things like that. So, again, we're in 48,000 food service locations, so we're #1 in food service and plant-based, but there's 1.4 million. 1.4 million. So we have a lot of work to do.
I am curious how you, well, let's talk about that. I'm curious how you manage the company, and specifically, right now you're still a private company. You kind of came on the scene at the same time or around the same time as Beyond Meat, which of course went the public route. There were a lot of questions as when Impossible was going to go public. Are there still plans for that, or do you kind of relish being a private company and maybe not having that sort of sausage grinder, pun intended, of being in the public markets?
No, I think it's a great question. We're lucky enough to be pretty well capitalized right now. We raised a lot of money over the years. Ever since I've taken over as CEO, I've invested in the brand. We just launched a huge advertising campaign, but I haven't spent on silly stuff.
Okay.
And we've extended our cash flow. So we don't need to go public in the near future, which I think is a really good position to be in. I don't think the public markets are great right now. I don't think the IPO market's great right now. And also, I think we'll go public when we're prepared and we're ready.
Yeah.
I think things were rushed maybe in the past, and we don't need to rush, luckily. That said, it would be nice to go public at some point on our own terms to, further capitalize and cement the legacy of the company.
So what's the expansion plan, though? Is it just to sell more patties and sausages, or is there like an expansion of the product line? Like what's in your head?
Yeah, so we've expanded. We have a whole chicken portfolio we never had. We just launched a hot dog. And we're at Duke University, and I was at White Sox Stadium for opening day.
Yeah.
We have 50 SKUs now. So we have enough SKUs. We have chicken, beef, pork, breakfast, lunch, dinner. Now it is to get them distributed. So we're in 48,000 out of 1.4 million food service locations. We have under 1,000 total distribution points at retail, and there are 9,000 distribution points. So there's just a lot of upside. We're in first gear. It's nobody's fault.
Yeah.
And we have 15% awareness. 85% of the country hasn't heard of us. And the last thing I'll say is 6% household penetration. So 94% of America has yet to try an impossible product. So the way I look at it, what keeps me up at night is the opportunity, not the cynicism. I mean, this is, and by the way, you can expand awareness through paid advertising. You can expand household penetration through more distribution. Okay. Food companies do this every day. So the things we need to do are not high math, crazy things.
But you're not doing a whole lot of advertising right now, right? Direct
We just launched, we did a campaign over the summer, which is the first time we've ever done advertising. And we just launched last week at the Met Gala, a massive campaign, our biggest, and plant-based biggest. So we'll see. It's going to be a 3-month-long campaigin.
Did you get an invite to the Met Gala for that? Or
I got an invite to the pre-Met Gala.
Okay, yeah, you got to work in a little bit more.
Yeah, which I rejected.
Yeah, if you can't get to the real one.
Forget it.
I mean, we feel that.